All right, we are streaming on YouTube. Stream health is in the red status, but we're just gonna go ahead and ignore that like we ignored our poor personal health. I'm gonna minimize OBS, and then I'm gonna go on my phone. I'm gonna get the Facebook live stream going up too. If you guys are in the chat, let me see. Is their chat started yet? All right. Give me a second, everyone, while I get the Facebook going as well. Do live. Turn the camera sideways. Say description. Tonight we're looking at art. Talking about Kickstarter and painting. Done. And then I'm gonna say start live video. All right, so we're streaming on Facebook and we're streaming on YouTube. I'm gonna turn this camera around in a second so you guys can see what I'm looking at. But tonight we're gonna be counting down the Kickstarter campaign launch and painting and going through the pages that we did for the Eerie, Enigma of Ghost Gary. And yeah, so put on your favorite episode of The Walking Dead in the background and just hang out. There's the camera. Let me put it on its little tripod. All right, so far so good. So I got two streams going on at the same time. If I do not respond to the text right away, do my best. Let me go over to Facebook on the browser so that I can see if there's stuff happening there. Brad Ross is on Facebook. Cool. So if I say start. I don't know how I did this, but I think I just started a watch party on Facebook. We'll see how it goes. And then I, for some reason, cannot access the chat on YouTube, which is not what you want. Oh, there we go. Okay. Marcus Clausen, say something. Hi. All right, so if anybody has jumped in on YouTube, I'm not sure how the YouTube works with people finding my videos, but if you do not know me, my name is Marcus Clausen. I go by Inkmarks online. Please feel free to subscribe to my page. I post weekly vlogs called the Inkmarks Art Vlog, where I talk about how I'm trying to make it as an artist in 52 weeks. I think I'm going to be saying that for every single video that I post, and yet it's actually going to be like 54 weeks because there's more than what I originally thought when I started the video, the vlog series. So we've got about 2 hours until I click go on my Kickstarter campaign for the children's book that I'm launching tonight at midnight. So yeah, we're just gonna hang out. I'm gonna kind of go over some of the drawings that I did, and then at the same time try to figure out if I can share this stuff because I don't know how to do that. There's got to be live streamers out there that are watching this that are like, oh, bro, so noob. Well, that would be correct. I've got my wife in front of me, so occasionally I'll be talking to her, making comments. Are you going to watch it on your computer?
Yeah. Should I watch it on YouTube or Facebook?
Oh, I don't know. I got no comments yet on either, so I'll say hello on Facebook. And if you're hanging out with me while I'm live streaming on either Facebook or on YouTube, please say hi. Click the little heart buttons. Click the little like buttons. Oh, sweet! I got one. That wasn't you, Jen, was it?
No,
Yeah. That means I got two. Okay, sweet. So, for the next couple hours, I'm going to be going over the pages for my book. I'm going to be. I got to really watch the camera for the Facebook one. I'm going to be drawing a little bit and try my best to respond to two streams at the same time. Here we go. So, we'll start with the cover page. This is actually, out of all the pages for the entire book, this is the last one that I did. It's really easy to get excited about a project. And then when you're all said and done, remember, oh yeah, I gotta have a cover for the book. So this is the cover image for the Eerie, Enigma of Ghostly Gary. On the actual cover itself, I'm filling up the background with the same purple. That's the kind of watercolor texture for the night sky in most of the pages. But this is the main graphic for it. Okay, page 1. I don't think these are in order because at some point in time my kids went through and looked at them, observed them, mishmashed them, and now they're in a fun order. They're in an order that does not go with how it's supposed to be. So here is page 1 of the book. I believe in the way that I set it up, there is actually no dialogue for this page. It is just a page that is opposite the copyright technical information page. But it's interesting to see because I did all the artwork for all these pages over the course of just 1 month. It was the Inktober challenge from Jake Parker. If you guys are not aware of or a fan of Jake Parker's work, he's awesome. He did one of my favorite children's books that I used to read to my kids called Awesome Man. And he has the challenge out there for artists in the month of October to do 31 ink drawings. And I decided to take it to the next level and go ahead and do 31 paintings on top of those ink drawings. So this year was weird, or I should say last year was weird, because, hey, Jen's with us again. Yay! The day before the Inktober was supposed to begin, decided that I was going to do the challenge and I was going to complete a book. I had no plan kind of going into it, but last second I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do a book, and I sat in the break room with I think either my phone or my iPad with Notepad open, and then I wrote a manuscript that was kind of creepy because it's October, you want to be spooky, and I am a fan of horror movies anyway, so this allowed me to kind of flex those horror movie muscles. And I wrote a manuscript for the Eerie Enigma of Ghostly Gary, not knowing at the time what the title was going to be, even what Gary's name was. But I spent the day before Inktober doing that, and then the night before Inktober, I think I played with some like concept art character designs for Gary, and like it kind of came about really quick. I sort of didn't take me a whole lot of time to figure out what I wanted him to look like. Um, you know what? Real quick, I'm gonna adjust the camera for YouTube because when I'm showing off the page for Facebook, it does not show off for YouTube. So I'm gonna make it so that they both can be in awe of me at the same time. Welcome to Marcus's Ego Show. Okay, let's try that. Are we aligned? Except for the... No, I don't like that either. How about that? I mean, it's blurry. But yeah, that works, I think. Yeah, the fuzziness is going to come in and out, I think. Once I move things around, it'll sort of adjust. I'm using the Logitech Pro. Oh, too low. Let's go back up. I'm using the Logitech Pro for YouTube, and I'm using just my phone to live stream on Facebook. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. I'm in the shot for both of them. Excellent. So anyway, I did the character design for him, and I think it's interesting over the course of the 1 month how much his design kind of shifted. It's probably not a desired effect, but in this one, he looks like there was a brand of little glass characters that came out that they would sell at like the Hallmark store, and it reminds me of that, but was not the intent. Um, he very much so is going to be his own character, and you'll see that in further pages. So that's page one. It's just sort of my concept page, my introduction to here's the main character. Look, he's transparent. I'm trying to flex my watercolor muscles and show off how I can make things show through him. And then I remember when I did the stars, I was like, I'm gonna get all styly, and I was like, I'm gonna go real starry night with it, and instantly did not like it. But for consistency's sake, kept the same star design throughout the entire book. So you're welcome for that. Jen says he grew as a person, a ghost. He did grow, yes, very much so. Him and I grew as an artist, and I'm literally shaking every single camera on here, the Facebook camera, the Logitech camera. That's good. Okay, so page two is the first page where I had dialogue on the manuscript, and I'm not going to go over what every single page says because I want you guys to be surprised when you read the book. I actually did that during the month of October. I would post the page on Instagram, and then on top of that, Jen says hi. Jen.
Hi, Jen.
I have a friend named Jen, and I have a wife named Jen. So this is how we're going to communicate through me. Oh, she says the tree looks awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you guys are not aware of Genuine Art YouTube channel, she's really great. She has a video series where she's kind of showing all the things that she's doing with her art. She just did a series, a video on making stamps, which is really, really fun. It makes me want to go make stamps. So if you guys haven't checked her out, go check her out. It's JENUONEART. Artist supporting artist. Okay, back to the Eerie Enigma of Ghostly Gary. Page two, when I was kind of conceptualizing the book, I knew that I wanted most pages to have some sort of reference. And this page, though, the dialogue didn't really lend itself towards a particular scary movie or classic monster. I thought I would throw in a spider as a reference to one of my favorite scary movies that nobody watches anymore, starring Jeff Daniels. So if you guys know what movie I'm talking about, shout it out in the comments. What movie is about spiders? For 500 points. I'm going to see where we're at with watchers. I've got 2 viewers on YouTube. And then on Facebook, we're still at me and Jen. Yeah, just me and Jen. But we'll get more. It's going to happen. Okay. Here's the next page. This one is I believe, a clear reference to the cover image to one of the best werewolf movies that I've seen. Um, you know what? If I get more people on the chat, then we'll start doing the guess that movie. But until then, I'm just gonna say it. I'm too excited. I can't help it. That last page with the spider in it is a reference to arachnophobia. This one is, which if you're not afraid of spiders, watch that movie and you will be. It's a good flick. This one is in reference to an American Werewolf in London, the successor to the best werewolf movie in the world, American Werewolf to Paris. If there's werewolf or horror film fans out there, I would get knocked so hard for that because Paris is a mess, but I love that movie. That they go real overboard with the CGI, and in the first one, see Jen knew she knew what movie it was. Um, in the first one, people praise that movie for having one of the best werewolf transformations ever, and then they just go total computer animated in American Werewolf in Paris. Oh, okay. So you knew about American Werewolf in London. Good. See the references translate. I'm going to keep on hitting this camera throughout the duration of the video on Facebook, so I apologize in advance. All right, page 3. I didn't really talk about the technical. Hold on. Let me go back into the technical on this one because we got 2 hours to go. All right, on this one, I did make kind of a strategic decision on this in that there's 2 things that I decided on this page. That Ghostly Gary uh, can touch things because I wanted him to be able to wear stuff or have things that interact with him so that he could. It lends itself to the images that I make later on in the book much easier than having him be a not touchable guy. What is the word I'm looking for?
Incorporeal.
Incorporeal. Yeah. So he is very much so corporeal, um, for the sake of the images. There's not a whole lot of like ghost logic going on here. I'm really just shooting from the hip. But the other decision that I made on this one was that I was not going to limit myself to keeping the same kind of environmental style for all 31 images. Because as you can see here, I have another night sky. However, I do not have the Van Gogh-esque swirly stars. I went with gray. I went with a little more realistic. That way I can kind of like keep to some of the themes of the actual uh, movies where they're what I'm referencing. So that's what I went for here. Um, I also, in addition to making him kind of transparent and showing the things like his jacket through his head and stuff like that, which I worry in some pages might like kind of take away from him. I also wanted to make sure that he constantly has at least a little bit of a glow, and I think one of the downsides later on in the book, just because it was such a long, 30-day project, it was rushed at the same time. If I think the timeline both helped and hindered me in that if I had more time, obviously it wouldn't have been finished as quick as it was. It made me more productive, but at the same time, I might have been able to plan a little bit better. When you're doing like a blue line drawing on your first break, an ink drawing on your last break, and then going home from work that night and doing a full painting over it, um, it gets a little bit rushed, and I don't always think about sometimes the consistency of things. So I think in the earlier pages of this book, there's a lot more of this like reflected light on things that are around Gary, and then I kind of stopped doing that later in the book just because I just forgot. So just things to look out for. Next page. This page is clearly for my brother. He is a huge fan of The Shining. He watches The Shining every year. That's his Christmas movie, which is weird, but he's also weird, so that makes sense. Thank you, Jen, for loving this guy. This guy loves you. Um, on this one, I remember being very concerned about negative space because the scene that I'm referencing is spoilers for The Shining. Near the end of the movie, when Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, is dead in the middle of the maze in the snow, frozen to death. He kind of sits in this pile of snow, and I didn't want it just to be that, so I tried to put as much like snow texture and minor blue highlights around him, as well as having his tail stick out because his tail is that a tail when you're a ghost? The little wavy endy thing. Uh, I don't know what you call that. What would you call that, Geneva?
I guess I don't know.
His ghost tail. Yeah, so I had his ghost tail stick out specifically because uh, I think in the reference picture that I had, Jack Torrance's like knee is sticking up, but he doesn't have knees. So I was like, I'm just gonna. I don't want there to be a bunch of negative space on the picture. So I went full bore and I had his ghost tail sticking out, which also lends itself to what I was talking about before, where I want him to be corporeal and not and be able to interact with the environment. That's why he's able to have icicles growing off of the bottom of his ghost tail. Uh, One thing that I thought that was kind of cool on this page that was not intentional was that I wanted to do, the transparent image thing where you can kind of see the edge of the jacket through his head. And what it accidentally did was kind of give him like a drunk stubble, which is, how Jack was in the end of the movie anyway. So that kind of worked out perfectly. Yeah, Jan agrees. It's a tail. This one, so I have a combination in this book of specific horror film references and then classic monster references. This one is a classic monster reference. Mummies, vampires, Frankenstein sort of thing that aren't necessarily referencing the original Universal Pictures film that made them popular. Because I don't believe, at least in the Universal film picture, that he has like this whole headgear going on. But thank you. I'm getting all kinds of thumbs up. I didn't know I had that many viewers on Facebook. I have 2 viewers on Facebook.
I
Yes.
don't know if it's counting me because I keep like switching back and forth between different screens.
Well, did you give me a thumbs up just now?
No.
Okay, I just got 2 thumbs up, so that's a thing. What's weird is that like on my Facebook screen, I can't see the video moving, so I don't know how long the delay is, or if there's comments being made. Do you think there's comments being made? Can you see?
I can't see any comments. I don't know.
All right, so we might be having some technical difficulties here.
But that might be me. I think that sometimes I was having issues with that when I was doing live streams with Kim Chance too.
So Jen is a fan of this page. I'm talking about genuine art. I think you're a fan of this page too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of my favorites.
I'm just gonna start calling you Wife Jen.
Yeah, you should just call me wife.
I'm gonna call genuine art Jen, and you'll be Wife Jen.
There you go.
Art Jen likes this page. Wife Jen likes this page. And it's the same kind of weird dilemma where I've done mummies before in the past, and I feel like mummies tend to look sort of impressive because of the. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like cutting myself off mid sentence because like things are happening with the stream. So now it's showing me that ArtGen joined on Facebook. So yeah, apparently it's working. Just nobody's commenting on Facebook, and that's fine. Just delays like a second. Okay. Hey, Dez is on Facebook. What's up, Dez? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Desiree Macaulay. If you're not watching my vlog, this is the winner of the first ever Inkmarks art vlog giveaway. So yeah, basically celeb status. Des, I will go ahead and send you a note, and then we will talk about what your options are for your prize for that. The reason why I say that is because I will be switching, or I'm not switching, but adding on V-necks pretty soon. So I had to do some moving around with some images, but you might be able to get your choice of those 4 images that are on my shop, um, yeah, in a V-neck instead of a regular tee. So yeah, stay tuned. I will get in contact with you. Okay, so like I was saying, I've done mummies in the past. I did mummy in my sketchbook that I covered, like my entire sketchbook on my vlog, and I think they look impressive because there's so much like wrapping and stuff going on. It just looks very detailed. It's the same reason why I like drawing octopus so much because um, octopus they tend to get really like like detailed and complicated and
Intricate.
intricate, and it's not difficult for me to paint and draw those things, but it looks much cooler than my ability as an artist when I'm said and done. Um, I'm not a huge fan of the mummy artwork, but like this one and the mummy that I did in my first watercolor painting uh, sketchbook from 20, what was that, 17, both got a lot of compliments. I'm really happy that everyone likes them, but I don't know why, and I think maybe it has to do with my bias of like the monster itself. Like I'm not crazy about mummies. Like it's like the least creepy things. Have you guys, Des or Jen, have you guys ever seen a movie called The Monster Squad? It's about these little kids who make a club that can fight monsters, and then monsters come to life. And then we're talking like classic Universal monsters, so Dracula, Frankenstein, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy, and like all they had to do with the Mummy was just spoilers for a movie from the '80s, untangle him, and then he just like blew away in the wind. So yeah, technically on this piece, I like saying piece because that makes me feel like a fancy artist. On this piece right here, you can see I'm still continuing the kind of cast the lighting from Gary on the Mummy a little bit. Um, I don't think any particular part of this one was super difficult. Okay, so Greg has seen the Monster Squad. If you guys get a chance, go back and watch the Monster Squad. It is prime entertainment. I mean, Wolfman has nards. That's all I gotta say. All right, this next page is really because I found out that my father had a case of the heebie-jeebies from The Wizard of Oz. And I think in hindsight, I think what he was really afraid of was the witch, but I didn't want to put the witch in there. So on this page, I decided to go in and throw in the classic image of the monkeys because them in their own, like these flying monkeys that had the capability of just dropping down and um, kidnapping you essentially is pretty creepy. Um, and like once again, it goes into like the idea of I needed Gary to be corporeal so that he could be caught in a cage for the sake of the reference in the movie. Um, I remember when I was doing this page, I had this big old like, oh, I'm doing 3 characters now as the villains, and I think I balanced that by the fact that I have basically nothing going on in the background. Um, at first, I was thinking when I was doing this, I was going to go with the ink and I was going to do ink lines for all the feather texture and all the hair and the entire thing. And then I realized it might be cool just to do, and by cooler, I mean easier for me. It might be cooler and easier just to do the outlines on the wings and the feather texture and then just kind of fill it in with watercolor and let like watercolor do the effects. One of the things that I liked about this specifically why I let watercolor do the effect was like the what do you call like the middle section of a feather that
I don't know. The shaft, I
the,
guess.
the shaft of the feather. I let that just be lighter than the rest of the color. It's the same color, but then I just went over it with a couple more washes on either side, and now I had feather shafts. That was my high school band name, Feather Shafts. All right, next page. So, I don't know if I get a chance in a lot of these images to like make my straight up dad jokes, but I was really, really happy to be able to like, oh, I'm gonna put this joke in here for the creature of the Black Lagoon. It's gonna be so funny, and then I pat myself on the back so hard that it bruises. This is one of those dad joke type pages, just because I wanted to be, I wanted to be funny. Um, I think some of them are just pretty basic. Like, there's Gary, there's the movie reference. This one is really, really is like, like he's fishing and then he caught the creature from the Black Lagoon on his string. Let's take a second and talk about gel pens because I think I covered this on my vlog before, but I had the biggest bias against gel pens because in my head, when you're painting or you're drawing or whatever, if you want something to be white, I was like, leave it white. It shows that you're a good artist and you know where to not go over something. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? Specifically with like watercolors, it pays to be able to go over and bring white out of something because watercolors are so like unforgiving. You can dab up a little bit of the color, but for the most part, once it's down, it's down. So to have a tool that allows you to go over and make a stark white addition to the painting is it's valuable. I have to admit, it's not something to let go. Derek's like, I heard gel pens are for cheating. They are for cheating. Everything I just said was nonsense. Don't pay attention to that. Don't use gel pens. In fact, everything that you see on the pages coming up, those aren't gel pen marks. Those are just my pure skill. That's a call of a lie, ladies and gents. Okay, so this was the first page that I had to think long and hard about how much IP I wanted to kind of stumble over. And the reason is because with the page for uh, The American Werewolf in London, that was a clear and obvious parody. So I really wasn't worried about too much, overlap with what I was doing. And then we had the Mummy and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Wizard of Oz is public domain, so I can do whatever I want with that. This was the first one where like a movie just came out in theaters, the end of last year, or was it this year? When did It Volume 2 come out? Bueller? No one? Recent enough that I worried when I painted this that like I didn't want it to be too hyper similar. So with my generic sewer dwelling clown, I definitely I took some things from the recent It films. I took some things from the older It films, and then I kind of just threw in like some scary clown stuff. Like this section right here, his costume is very, very much so the recent films. I think hairstyle, I went with more like the classic Pennywise from the old movies. And then like this pattern, I think I just made that up. The gloves, I just made that up too. So I had some originality into it. Um, this one was fun because I got to like add a bunch of gross stuff in the background. When I think I started this image, I had the clown, I had Gary, I had balloons, and I was really concerned with there being too much negative space in it. And then I was like, well, we'll do the sewers, and it worked out like gangbusters because I think this is maybe one of my favorite backgrounds in the book. Boom. All right, we're 34 minutes in. We're flying by, guys. Hey, if anybody on who's watching this has not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I am Inkmarks on YouTube, or you can just search by Marcus Clausen. You'll run right into my vlog. Subscribe, check out my videos, see what you think. I'm using 52 weeks to start an artistic career. This video, we're going over some of the pages for the book that I'm going to be kickstarting. I'm going to press the launch button at midnight. I don't know why I decided to do this. In fact, this is one of those moments where if you guys are watching and you're going to do a Kickstarter video for yourself, do as I say, not as I do. I think all of like the universal advice you get for Kickstarter campaigns is do not launch them at midnight. Launch them in the middle of the day when people actually have access to them, and you can have a big launch thing that everyone's watching. I was just so excited about March 1st that I was like, yeah, we're going to do it at midnight. I'm going to stay up late and I'm going to eat cookies like a bad boy. And here we are. So, next page. Vampires. Why are you laughing at me? We don't actually have cookies. Hey, Jen, you want to make some cookies? I said it in the video. It has to be true.
You're manifesting.
I'm going to start manifesting
Cookies.
my reality. Yeah. How are we doing on watchers? We're down to 1 watcher on YouTube, 2 over on Facebook. Okay, so this next page, I think is some people's very favorite page. It was my vampire page. I did not want to do classic Boris Karloff Dracula. Whenever I draw vampires, I really like drawing the 2 front long fangs, and so that's Nosferatu. Why are you laughing?
The 2 front long things.
Fangs. I said fangs.
Things.
And then like because he is such a weird looking dude, it totally lends to like the cartoony style that I'm doing. And then I also got a few comments on like the lighting in particular. I think it has to do with like the fact that he has this like really stark shadow in the background, and you can tell right here. I think this is one of the first pages where I kind of stopped including the blue highlight. I did it a little bit on his elbow, but mostly this is where I started transitioning out of adding the blue highlight to everything that he's nearing. Especially like if I was doing it, I think I would have added more blue highlight to like the stake that he has in his hand. I started really playing with the background texture on this one because I started needing I need variance in my textures. I don't want them all to look the same. And when you have like a series that are based on like horror movies, you kind of might start running into like making the same backgrounds over and over and over again. So I think there's another page later on that's in like a castle, and I tried specifically to make it not look like this page, but I do like that sort of finished wall but breaking down with bricks behind it texture. Another example too of not sticking to the purple sky with Van Gogh-esque stars. All right, next page. I like this page specifically because when Gary's kind of speculating as to how he might have died, the line for this page is, "Did I slip in the shower?" And I like the fact that even though the death is in the shower, it's not represented by the fact that it was via a slip in the shower. It's very much so like a movie reference page that I really enjoyed. And then later on, I found out that this is even false. I am playing into mass hysteria and a Mandela effect because this silhouette that I built right here in the background in the shower does not actually ever happen in Psycho. This is a complete Mandela effect because I think you find out if you do like a little bit of research that he doesn't actually raise his knife until they've already pushed the shower curtain over. So this never happens. But because of the wonders of the Mandela effect, I have enough people that believe that it happens that it totally works as like a, oh yeah, that's the Psycho. I mean, I think it does at least. I also had fun drawing the shower cap on this one. It was interesting. I like the idea. I like the effect too of the bubbles. It's interesting that I can do the same basic kind of brush stroke that I would do for clouds. I'm fighting a cold, so I got weird things going on with my nose. I have the same basic brush stroke that I would have for clouds, but instead of using gray, I use pink, and all of a sudden, it's bubbles. Yeah, art. Boom. And by the way, guys, if you like these tiles, that's care of one Derek Clausen, award-winning artist. He suggested them, and quite frankly, I think we all know these tiles are going to be the highlight of the book. So let's give him a round of applause. Thanks. Okay, here is page Number two, I don't know if Psycho is in the public domain. But so, can you Google that, Jen?
Yeah.
Okay, Geneva's gonna Google that. She's gonna be my source of knowledge because my phone and my computer are both being totally utilized right now. Um, but so this was the second page when I was drawing them that I got real concerned that I was getting too close to um, an IP that I don't own because I'm doing two on this one. The line is that did I play with a ancient evil power or something like that? And there were two horror movies that kind of lent themselves to the idea of like this old artifact that could bring out evil. One of them was Hellraiser, represented by the chains throughout this room, and of course the Pandora's cube. There is it called Pandora's cube? I forget. And then the second being the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead, represented by the book and the our little friend here down under the stairs. And then also the kind of in a way the trees too. And I totally jumped back to the purple sky with the Van Gogh stars because I don't know, I'm inconsistent. I have no excuse. Um, you can see here, like I did the same kind of background effect that I did on the castle with the broken down walls, but I put wood in the background so that it's different. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm trying to look and see here. I also did not include any blue highlights on the items. Well, actually, that's not true. There's a little bit on the Necronomicon, but I'm definitely getting away from it because earlier in the book it was super strong. Next page. This one, I've been told by multiple people, I can appreciate my friends who are honest to me that it was not my best page. Um, I see where you're going with your comment. I just need the understanding to be that I was not going to do a super gory zombie image. Like when you think zombies, you want to have that like really grody blood splattered everywhere. And I want to say that like throughout the majority of this book, I don't think I have blood in any of the pages. I very much so had in mind when I was doing this that it is a picture book, not necessarily meant for kids, but that could be sold on a kid's shelf. Um, and so when I did them, I did not want to have blood and guts and gore all over everything. So the easiest way that I could do zombies is sort of like the Zombies Ate My Neighbor Nintendo NES style, where it's just green people. There's another picture book out there that my kids love called Zombie Brains. What's it called, Jen? The Charlie's Zombie book.
Oh, peanut butter and brains.
Peanut Butter and Brains. It is such a good book. I don't know why, but I read it in a British accent every time I read it. And it has these very, very simplified zombies. I think I took a lot of influence from that book to make my zombies in this page, just because I did not want to have the gore. I love the effect of the cracked glass that, I'm so good. I left all that white and totally didn't use a gel pen to make. Um, and yeah, I like how this one turned out. I like the wallpaper. It feels very Beetlejuice to me. Um, Not intentional though. Boom. Next page. 42 minutes in. Oh, this is coming. This is. I'm not gonna finish this stack by the time that we're getting ready to launch the campaign. I wanted to do some drawing tonight too, and that might not happen. Okay, so this one is fun because every time that I hand it to somebody, the first thing that they do is they're like, "Oh, that's cool, but why is it upside down?" Because the line from the book is, "Did Cthulhu turn my world upside down?" Cthulhu is in the Lovecraftian mythos where there's a lot of like false realities and like descent into madness. And so I was like, I'm just gonna take it literally and have him be upside down in the picture. Um, and yeah, by the way, if you guys like Cthulhu and like my cartoony style, I have a shirt on my merch shop right now that is Cthulhu related called Wrinkly Toes, where he's sitting in the ocean next to a lighthouse and picking his toes up to show that his toes are wrinkly, which is something that you don't get to see very often because I did a lot of research when I was looking for reference material, and every single Cthulhu picture that I found was him standing waist deep in the ocean. And I'm like, That guy's got to have some wrinkly toes. He's gotta. And that was the inspiration for that picture. So if you're curious about what that image looks like, and you're in the market for a Cthulhu related shirt anyway, head on over to inkmarks.com/shop. That's inkmarks with a C for marks /shop. Like the later this video, this live stream gets, the later into the night we get, the more tired I'm gonna get, the more like ridiculous I'm gonna start sounding, which is interesting because I've got a pretty low bar so far. This one ended up being one of my favorite pages just because when you're painting and you have an idea for how you want to do a certain effect, it's always a shot in the dark, you know, especially if you're just starting off on a new medium. And I had an idea of how I wanted the electricity to look, and I was like, I think if I just leave where I want the electricity to be blanket first, like omit background color from it, and then go over that area with a really, really light blue, like just one wash so that there's some transparency involved. And then when it's all said and done, use some like gel pen to make the center white. It's going to look really, really like electricity-esque. And sure enough, it worked just as I planned. So this is one of those like successes, and now I have that in my sort of artistic tool belt of things I can pull out when I want to do electricity. I got a system. This was, I think, the only page in the book that differed from the original manuscript. I had written a different line originally, and it became apparent when I was like halfway through the month that I don't have a page for Frankenstein, but I want to fit him in because, you know, it's Frankenstein. Come on, guys, Frankenstein. Frankenstein. And the line, I think, for this page also wasn't great, so I decided I'll rewrite that one line. I'll put Frankenstein in there, and that's how he got to be in our book. See, our book. I'm getting you guys involved too. This book belongs to everyone, especially if you back my Kickstarter that's starting in about an hour and 20 minutes. So, this was the internal castle image that I was talking about earlier that I didn't want it to look totally, totally different. What's up, Danny? Yes, it is almost midnight. We're getting there, bud. I did not realize how long it was going to take for me to jabber on about all these pages. So I was going to do some artwork tonight. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm having fun talking about the pages anyway, so we'll just keep going. This one was like, I must have been on like a total art high this week because I had two back-to-back like successes in terms of style. One was the electricity from the Frankenstein page, and the other one was totally how the water came out at the top of this page. I just Googled underwater, like scuba diving or something like that, and I saw as many images as possible of how light hit the water from underneath. And I saw one page that looked like this, and I was like, that is such a cool like effect that I think is totally doable in watercolor. And all it is simply allowing for your darker blues at the bottom, lighter blues at the top. In your head, make sort of like a spherical shape where your highlight's going to go. And then you just put in these jelly bean blobs behind the images. And once that's said and done, make some light streaks with your gel pen. And it was perfect. I was like, I really like how this came out. So yeah, success number 2. And on this page, we played with some transparency. I remember I was fairly stressed. Hey, Daniela, thank you. Daniela likes the colors on that last one. I'm gonna go back to it because she said that, and now I have to like talk about it a little bit. I had done another image that was underwater in a previous year that was a black and white image that I called Zombie Shark because, surprise, surprise, it was a zombie shark in the image. And it was all black and white, so there were no colors at all. And I knew that when I did this one, and I wanted to put all these different plants and stuff in it that I wanted it to pop and be really really colorful. So uh, exactly, Daniela, this is what I wanted for this page, was for that effect to shine through, no pun intended, and also for the colors to really shine here. So yep, you hit it on the nose. Okay, so back to my am I really an artist sort of page. I did not know how I was going to do a transparent figure inside of a transparent figure. This one was a challenge to me, and I think at the end of the day, it works, to kind of show the blob, but I wish it didn't get quite as muddy in here. Um, I don't know if I got exactly the effect that I was looking for, but it's okay because I was on an artist high from the last two pages, so I'm gonna let that one slide. Okay, next page. This one I was super excited about, um, because I'm covering three horror icons in one page. Like, I feel like the majority of horror icons are all in this same genre of a masked murderer that's going around and terrorizing these very special teenagers. And this one, I was able to hit the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was able to hit Friday the 13th, and I was able to hit Halloween all in one page. And I like how the background came out in this one because I just didn't do it in the middle of the woods. I like how I got elements of all of those characters in my masked murderer here. Even like the highlights from like the kind of bright yellow lights that are coming off of uh, the porch light. It was one of my favorite pages from the entire book. And like, if there wasn't enough of a nod to Halloween, I put the jack-o'-lantern there so I can kind of, oh yeah, it's also that movie too, because I didn't have Mike Myers' signature knife as part of his arsenal, so I wanted to make sure that I had a little extra for Mike. There you go, Mike Myers. That one's all you, buddy. Um, so this one, I did get some critiques on. Um, I'm very much so referencing a dream monster, which is the most iconic, in my opinion, the most iconic horror antagonist there is in film. One Mr. Fred Krueger, and I did a few things here that didn't exactly like lend to him. One of them was the tentacles. Obviously, that has nothing to do with Freddy Krueger. But the reason why I did the tentacles is because uh, The Nightmare on Elm Street premiered in 1984. That is the year that I was born. I'm 35, and it is one of my favorite horror franchises. Me and my brother have seen all of them. Brothers, I don't know if Chris has seen all of them, but I got to meet Robert Englund, very very cool guy, and so like my thing when I'm painting is when all else fails, draw an octopus, and so I threw in these octopus tentacles to kind of like show my personal favorite is Fred Krueger, and then the guy coming out of the wall. That's just pure nod to Nightmare on Elm Street. Obviously, the colors on the blankets are the colors of his sweater. The other thing that I did on this page that wasn't necessarily him, but is something that creeps me out on a daily basis, is I made the clock show 3:33 on the alarm stand. Alarm stand, that's not a thing. What is that? It's a dresser?
Nightstand?
Nightstand? I knew the word stand was in there somewhere. Oh, now we're making Stephen King references. The Stand. Ginny was giving me a look. I'm tired. Leave me alone. So, yeah, on the nightstand, that's the scientific term for it. I have the alarm clock showing 3:33, which is supposed to be like the demonic hour when like uh, demons mess with people in mockery of the Holy Trinity or something like that. It shows up in the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and ever since I saw that movie, I'm terrified to wake up exactly at 3:33, And I can't tell you how many times I've woken up at 3:33. Not that I think I'm being chased by demons or anything like that, but it's scary nonetheless. So yeah, I the only thing that I think I had problems with on this page was I couldn't decide how much I wanted the light source, how strong I wanted the light source to be, how much contrast I wanted the light source to be, because I knew I wanted it to be at nighttime, which would mean that he's in a very very dark room, but at the same time he's also a glowing spirit. So I went with this kind of like soft, less contrasty light source coming from him. I did take a step back though and add some blue highlights into the parts of the wall where my generic dream demon is coming out of them. All right. Clean up my pile a little bit. Here we are. This is the part of the book where like it kind of picks up the pace a little bit, and Gary just starts naming things that could be potentially like the reason for his demise. And so I just had like one word descriptions. So I just put Yetis on this page, and for not being like an exciting page as far as the words, the text, it is, I feel like, one of the best executed pages in the book. The only thing that I'll cover what I didn't like, and then I'll go over the 1,000 things that I thought made me an amazing artist. The only thing that I didn't like was the fact that this line, this trail, because you can see here, it's clearly a trail from where he has his walking stick for his skiing trip he's on, I guess. This curve goes into the leg of the Yeti, and I wish I had it go more off in the distance so it didn't connect, because this makes it look like it could be potentially part of the Yeti for some reason. Um, I don't know if this is one of those things where, like, if you're not the artist, you don't care about it. But being the artist, it bothers me that that lines up so perfectly with the Yeti's leg. Did you see that, Geneva, when I did this page? Did that
I don't remember.
affect you at
No,
all?
no, I don't remember.
Before I said it just now, did it affect you at all?
No.
Yes. Maybe I'm just blowing it out of proportion. But that's the only really thing that I didn't like about it. The rest of the page, I feel like it came out really, really well. First, I like that how the texture on the jacket, the kind of fluffy jacket. You know exactly what kind of jacket I'm talking about when I painted this one. I like the tread marks from my walking stick, um, the string and the scarf blowing in the wind. Like I just really, really enjoy how this one came out. Even like the as much flurry as I have going on in the background over here, all the snow and the drops and stuff like that. Well, Derek, I don't care if it affected you. That's my brother talking on Facebook saying that it clearly disappointed him in my artwork. Next book I make, I'm just gonna have you do all the artwork for, okay? So yeah, one of my favorite pages of the book. Really, really liked it. Next page. This one, I don't know if I got across what I was trying to do. And this could still be one of those like artist insecurity things, but I'll just go ahead and say that it worked anyway. So this is my mermaids page, and I wanted the idea to be like he's clearly, you know, smitten with the mermaid that's in front of him, but then I've got these other mermaids around them that like are evil looking with their deep black eyes and sharp teeth, and I don't. I think I needed to have given the other mermaids more presence on the page. Derek's asking us grammar questions on the Facebook chat.
It's affected.
It's affected. Did you figure out whether or not that movie he was talking about was public domain?
It is not. There's like it was for a while, and then laws changed, and then it got reinstated. So it is not in the public domain.
Which movie was it again?
Psycho.
Psycho is not public domain, Derek. So, sorry, that's not going to work for you if you wanted to do a remake of Psycho. As far as the page goes, I mean, like, it comes out as a beautiful page because anytime you paint a sunset, when you throw in the deep purples, fading to the yellows, it's very pretty. I just wish that I had put more mermaid. I just need more mermaid. Other than that, I like this one fairly well. You can see again, I completely like did not do. There should be more. If I'm being consistent with the rest of the book, there should be much more blue highlights, but there's not. Ah, well, you live and you learn. Next page. I remember this page. I remember being really, really excited to do this page. And it came out, let's say, like 98% to my liking. The only thing that I was really concerned about with this one was like what to do with all the extra cabin space. And so I just referenced internal plane seating and found a bunch of pictures and just kind of filled it up. Um, if you did not get the reference, this is a nod to the Twilight Zone Terror at 3,000 feet, starring eventually John Lithgow, but originally, who plays Kirk?
What?
Kirk, Star Trek.
Oh, William Shatner.
Originally William Shatner, and then in the new one, yeah, see, Jen's got it. She's on it. Oh, and she likes the mermaid tail too. So yeah, I mean the texture on that one, I think I got down pretty well. I just need more of it. I just need just more mermaid. And she knew William Shatner. She is on it. Art Gen is like kicking butt tonight. So yeah, if I have not gotten a chance to watch Terror at 3,000 Feet, the new version on the Jordan Peele version of Twilight Zone, I really, really want to, but there's too many things to watch nowadays. That's why books like this are fun, because it just calls back to all the things that I used to watch. All right. Next, here is my witch. This is not a intended to be Wizard of Oz witch. This is just generic witch. This one, I think, out of all the inconsistencies for Gary, is the most inconsistent. He looks less like himself in this page, I think, than any other page in the book. Still gets across the character, because when I design characters, I put in enough like basic features that it's going to be hard to decipher. It's going to be hard to confuse them from one page to another. But the outline on them on this one was much thicker and like sharper than on previous pages. However, I still feel like it still works for what Gary is. It was also a difficult page because I knew in my head how I wanted it to look. I think in my head it was going to be more dynamic, like the front of the broom was going to be much closer to the camera, and then this was going to be much further away. And I ended up instead just kind of bending it, but it still had kind of a cool, like, cartoony effect to it, I think. Deciding how I was going to do the highlights for the inside of a black pot with a glowing figure was difficult, but I think in the end it worked out. I really like the cat. That's it. That's the end of that comment. I like the cat. All right, time for my Lucky Charms. This one, I decided that I did not want to even get remotely close to the iconic Leprechaun movie. I went full left turn, and I did a Lucky Charms Leprechaun who looked a little bit slightly angry. And I don't know if that kind of, in your knowledge of like Leprechaun mythos, wife Jen, are leprechauns ever like evil?
I don't know much about leprechaun mythos, but I would say probably mischievous. But I don't think they're typically evil.
Well, this one is. I've decided. His name is going to be Phil, and he's bad. Clearly, I'm referencing like the Leprechaun movie, Leprechaun in the Hood, that classic Oscar-worthy performance. I think it's Warwick Davis. And I decided I didn't want it to look like that. Art Gen says yes, they are. So there you go.
There you go.
Next one. I think this is going to be like my ongoing motif for like every book that I do in the future. I'm going to have a Darkling somewhere in there. If you guys are not familiar with my work and you're watching me make stuff for the first time, my wife wrote a children's book and I illustrated it called I Found a Darkling. about these small incorporeal shadow creatures that they're just curious. They're not evil. They're not good. They're curious. And I decided to throw a little knot in there. And I think what's fun about this book is that he's actually in the book 3 times. They're just the other two are a little more difficult to find. So this is my obvious one. If you guys back my campaign and you get the book later on in the year, see if you can find the other two. Cinnamon tea. Exactly. See, she knows that I've got Darkland mythos going on. Fun fact: cinnamon is like catnip to Darklings. So there you go. This one, I remember being stressed about the background being too just blank, and the real easy fix of that was to just add in some simple wallpaper of just like darker lines. The dollhouse in the background is a direct reference to my daughter's dollhouse. And the creepy doll is a reference to all creepy dolls in film ever, forever. So there's that. I think I did. I did reference Miss Potts a little bit on the teapot because I can.
Another classic horror movie.
Another classic horror movie. Okay, this one, at this stage of the book, it was, I mean, it was a breath of relief, but also kind of sadness because at this point in the book, it is the conclusion. We're getting towards the end, and I'm no longer just spitballing horror movie references for the rest of the pages. They're actually I'm trying to actually tie up the story. So for the first one, I decided that because he's making an exclamation, that none of those things that he can think of seem quite right, and he still has to figure out how he died. I wanted to put a little shout out to my wife Jen. Her favorite animal is a crow, and hence the crow sitting on the tombstone there. When I did the first page, I made a decision to not put any text on any of the tombstones, and I was actually thinking about putting like her name on the tombstone, but then I was like, I gotta be consistent, and I don't, and just have them be like blank, generic, unmarked tombstones. So yeah, this is fun. I mean, it kind of goes back to when he's not thinking about the possibilities for how he passed on. Um, it's back into his sort of world. It goes back to that purpley Van Gogh Starry Night type feel. Yeah. This next page, I think the only reference that I can think of that this might have had would be for like the creepy tree from Addams Family, the new Addams Family movie that came out, or like Monster House. But it really doesn't even look like Monster House. It kind of just looks like generic haunted house, which is sort of what I wanted. But if there were to be a reference in it, it is that. It is my Monster House reference. Monster House is one of those weird movies where like you're like, oh, it's a fun kids movie, but like I can see it being traumatizing to my children. Has James seen it recently?
Not recently. I think he's scared to watch it.
I would be scared to watch. Like there's I mean there's it references in that movie. Monster House is great. It was I mean Steve Buscemi as the old man, and who did the voice for the fat lady?
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner.
Oh, so good.
I mean, great movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's like a little bit kiddie, but also not.
But also traumatizing.
All right, so here we are getting closer and closer to the end of the book where...
Show how it ends?
Oh, that's an interesting thing. Should I show how it ends? Or should I not show how it ends and then... Hold back. We can spend the another 40 minutes or so, 50 minutes drawing if you guys want. I got people watching in the stream, so let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see how this book ends right here, right now, or do you want to like let's do some artwork? Let's get some painting done. Jen says a solid no. Okay, perfect. That's my answer. She's been my guiding light for the majority of this live stream. Art. Exactly. Okay, this is where I'm going to stop. That took us much longer than I thought it was going to take. We did that for an hour and 10 minutes. So I think now is a good time to kind of remind everybody that the reason why we're live streaming tonight is we are counting down minutes to midnight, where I launched the Kickstarter campaign for my new book, The Eerie Enigma of Ghostly Gary. All right, so before I get to the artwork, I want to show you guys. Derek says paint too. I don't know, that's like a negative one. I mean, I feel like I want to do it because Jen wants me to do it, but because Derek wants me to do it, I don't want to do it. This is to show you guys when you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, it is very, very helpful to have additional artwork that's like ready for the campaign page. So I used a couple of these on the campaign page. I'm going to use one of them to actually be the sticker. I think I like this thumbs up Gary. He's going to be the sticker that goes out as rewards. Either that or the waving high sticker. Or, you know, maybe both. Who knows? But like you can see I clearly did quite a few different poses with him. This is the one that you're going to see right here once we're funded. Once it says, yes, congratulations, you've met your goal. This is guys coming out. Derek says BRB. And then you can also see when I was designing the title page for the book, I played with, you know, designing my own fonts. I did the font for the Darkling book, and I went kind of super creative on this one too. I like the kind of swoosh at the top of the A, and I used Gary's eye as sort of a design influence on the inside of the R. Just big, kind of goofy, rounded letters. I have a Facebook message. Let's see. This book reminds me of my childhood reading Casper. Gary is kind of Casper-esque. Yes, very much so. Okay. And then this is just like straight up like Tim Burton style font. Like, I knew I wanted long, skinny, narrow, bony letters for the Eerie Enigma. And that leads us to what I'm going to be painting tonight, which is it's a just for fun painting. I've been doing a lot of stuff lately on my YouTube channel, artwork that's specifically going to be lending itself towards t-shirt designs and or clearly like work on the books that I'm doing. And so I told myself the other day that because, you know, I've been working so hard that I deserved a little break on my art, and that I was going to do just a painting or a drawing that I wanted to do. And it turned out to be this rat. I do artwork on my lunch breaks. And thank you. Danielle says it's very cute. Or maybe you're talking about the ghost. I mean, I guess the rat can be cute. I don't know. But I do artwork on my lunch breaks. I'll do like blue line drawings with a Graph Gear 5000 Pentel mechanical pencil. Just to name drop a little bit. If Pentel ever sees these videos and wants to sponsor me, dude, hit me up. I love Pentel products. I use their pocket brush pens, I use their water brush pens, and I use the Graph Gear 5000 to do all my line work. Pentel of America, come get me. But like, it's so disappointing when I'm sitting there in the break room and I'm drawing something, and someone comes up to me and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" And like, the smart aleck in me wants me to be like, "It's a drawing," but like, then I know that the next follow-up question is, "I know what it's of," which just proves that they they don't know what I'm drawing, and I didn't do it good enough. Anyway, so I was debating on when I was planning this live stream for you guys whether I would be doing um, painting with my Winsor and Newton set, or whether I would be doing it with my Kuretake. And I decided my Kuretake does not get enough love. Um, my wife got me this watercolor set for Christmas. I'm gonna talk about these two watercolor sets really quick because they both have pros and cons. And I know that you guys didn't think you were going to be hearing me talking about art supplies tonight, but guess what is happening? Um, my Winsor and Newton travel set goes with me wherever I go. It's a really fantastic set, very very small little paint trays, but I've had this for a while and I have not run through them yet. Like these things hold in a lot of paint and they last for a long time. Um, I like how many compartments it has to have like palettes because it has some compartments up top. It has a removable compartment in the middle, and then it has a hidden compartment in here that allows me to do put some more colors in there too. This big blob right here is, I think it's a different red that comes with than what comes with the set. I think the set comes with an alizarin crimson, and I prefer to do my reds with, if I can find it, I have it right here. It's just the name is covered up. 1 second. I prefer to use cadmium red, deep hue, which is what that little blob is right there, and staying on brand because I don't want to have a bunch of mixed matched companies' paints in one set. I bought the Winsor and Newton tube, and just put a little blot in your palette, and that works just as fine as the rest of these, and it'll last a long time. The problem that I have with the crimson is that it tends to look a little purpley, pinky for my taste. Like I want my red to be like red, 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 which is what this one gives me. So that's Winsor and Newton. Mostly, it's beneficial to have something that you can take with you everywhere you go. So all of the pages for the Eerie Enigma of Ghostly Gary were done with this set, and that's the only way that I was able to complete the Inktober challenge and have consistent paintings on a daily basis that are done. So, thank you, Winsor and Newton. But tonight, we're not using you. Tonight, we're painting with Kuretake. Kuretake is maybe my second favorite brand of art supplies. They have a really really amazing ink brush pen that I don't ever get to use because I'm always using my Pentel pocket brush pen. But it's super smooth to ink with, and they also, we found out this last Christmas, have watercolors. I've used them I think once or twice, and so you'll see this right away. Whenever I get a new watercolor set, I make swatches so that I know what those watercolors are going to look like on the paper that I'm using. And they also have an amazing red in their trays. And I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, and the texture of them is just like really, really creamy. I love painting with these ones because I can occasionally get sort of a chalky texture with my Winsor and Newton, and these ones like never let me down. They're the whole 2 or 3 paintings that I've done with them, the texture is so just smooth. So I'm gonna paint this rat now, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the yellow cheese in the background, which by the way, this is my like technique for how I do watercolors, because watercolors are so finicky. They have a mind of their own. I have to have a plan ahead of time. I cannot just like jump in and start painting because they will betray me. So my plan is to I map out where I want everything to be. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a wash over the entire rat. I'm going to then add in my grays to the background fur and let that bleed as forward as they want to go. And then I'm going to start with the green highlights coming from a kind of downward upper right. You can't see what I'm pointing at on either screen, can you? You're just looking at a bunch of paints. So start with the grays, the back of the rat, and then put like a really, really light green so that the light source looks like it's coming from this angle, moving up to give it kind of a creepy, sinister look. Here's a question for everybody. You guys can feel free to weigh in on. I was thinking about doing red around the eyes, like not full red, but like around the black people, having like a little red part.
That'd be cool.
Because you got the green highlight and the red would kind of complement it really well. And then we're gonna throw a curveball into the mix and make some yellow cheese in the background because that's stereotypically what color cheese is. So, give me your thoughts in the comments. Um, red eyes or no red eyes? I can just leave it as like black pupils and do like a little bit of green highlight. Jen agrees that the grit in the watercolors is no bueno. Art Jen, that is. Okay, so let's get going. I got my swatches over there. These are watercolor brushes by Pentel. Although it says Pentel Japan, the Instagram account for Pentel is Pentel of America or something like that. I keep on tagging them. One of these days they're gonna get back to me and be like, "Thank you for representing our brand so well. Here's $3 million." I'll be like, "Oh, Pentel, you didn't have to do that, but thank you. I'll take it, and then I'll buy ridiculous things." Okay, so initiate plan. Go. Start with my wash. I'll let it get as kind of forward as I see fit. There's two watercolor brushes that I use from Pentel. It's a thick line and a thin line, and I can tell already just from the water that's coming off of this that some of my ink is bleeding, which is, you know, a no-no for my ink. What are you guys doing? You're killing me. I have another brush set swatch in my office. I'm also shaking the entire camera. I apologize to everybody on the Facebook side of things. But I have another swatch set in my office that represents all of the brush pens and ink that I use and how it interacts with water because I do so much ink and watercolor combination. And the two that I find to work really well, and the reason why I don't use the Kuretake ink brushes as much as I do the Pentel pocket brushes, is because generally speaking, the Pentel pocket brush ink stays put when I'm doing watercolor on top of it. All right, so there's our layer of water over the areas that we want to be gray. I'm not going to start the tail yet because I don't have the patience for that yet. Let's do the blacks first. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of black on the brush. You guys can see that on Facebook, I think. Let me readjust for the cameras. Okay, get a little bit of black on my brush, and then I'm gonna like immediately dab some off because I don't want it to be that black. I'm going for a gray tone here. Perfect. So I got my grays in there, and then I'm just gonna let it kind of fill up this area behind the tail. The booty of the rat is gonna be completely gray because there's no light hitting it. Refresh, get a little more paint, take a little bit off. Oh, took too much off. There we go. All this area back here, I'm happy with getting fairly dark on this gray rat. If you guys are curious what that ruckus is, my cat has buried himself under a blanket and is now attacking the floor. He's a good security cat. Jen, do you use ink with your watercolors? Do you combine those? All right. There's a little bit of gray there. And I'm just kind of like letting the watercolor move forward as much as it wants to without totally saturating the area that I know I want to be very green. Put a little in there. What I do like about the Pentel, not the Pentel, the Winsor Newton watercolors is that they have some nice grays that they use. This one just has a black, so I gotta kind of rely on my ability to tone down the black watercolor a bit. I'm gonna, so that I am not shaking the Facebook camera as much, I'm gonna go with strokes more so than that kind of bouncy painting technique that I've been doing because everybody on Facebook is gonna start throwing up pretty soon. Oh, that's too dark. Okay, so when you apply paint that is too dark, you can have one moment to fix it by dabbing it up with a watercolor and then adding more water to it and blending it out. And that is the only forgiving grace you'll have with watercolors. After that, watercolors are just like, nah, man, you put us down. This is where we're going to be. That was your call. That one started off pretty dark, but that's okay because I can drag the ink upward into the rest of this side of them. But now I don't have enough up here, so we're going to dab a little bit, clean a little bit off on my towel here. And that's still a little bit dark, but that's okay. I might actually have to do a little more on this leg. I don't think it's getting dark enough. What I am not crazy about are super hard, non-blended lines on my watercolors. So, oh, that's way dark. See, errors. Let's fix them. There we go. And then I just put it right back down on top of it. Oh man, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're doomed to repeat them, I guess. Okay, but at least I managed the effect that I was going for, a darker front leg. Let's blend it out a little bit before we move on. A little bit of black up here. We're going to do some work in the eyes and the face. This area is still wet. I mean, if I was pro right now, I would have had this taped down so it didn't warp as much. But the other thing you can do is once a painting's done, you can dampen the back side of the painting, and then if you add just like put it between a couple of paper towels and let that rest behind a couple of like heavy books for a few hours. Eventually it'll dry out and it'll straighten itself back out again. Pro tip. Before I started using watercolors, I would like stress about it. Oh, but they warp too much. Like there wasn't a solution to it. I'm totally ignoring chat. Let's see. Yes, Danielle, these are like my favorites because they're so like travelable. Like you can bring them with you everywhere. And you just need a little water. And also, oh, that's too black. Also, cleaning them is just swishing them around in a napkin, and it does the trick. And then, yeah, aqua brushes. Yeah, so the way that it works is there's a brush that feeds into a like water. Um, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like a container.
What?
What's the word I'm thinking of? That's like a water container. No, I'm talking about for these brushes.
Reservoir?
A water reservoir that is in this section of the brush. And as you paint, more water goes in here, and it'll soak up the paint that you have in your little watercolor trace, and you'll be able to uh, basically activate the ink and then paint with it. And then as it dries, you can switch to a different color. Okay, so I think that's okay for the fur right now. Let's see. Do they have brushes? None. College books. That's right. Those are the heavy ones. I found this tip online, and I use two heavy pieces of drywall. I just went to like Home Depot and got some drywall. It looks like Derek has abandoned his comrades on Facebook and joined us on YouTube. Way to not be loyal, Derek. Okay, so next up, we're gonna start with that really, really light green. So this is where like a sheet like this comes in handy because I know exactly which green I'm gonna use to get the effect that I want. I want like this glowing neon green to have a really, really strong light source. And like the most obvious place, excuse me, is the nose right here. Let's dab it on a little bit right there. And then I'm gonna have to do more blending with the gray on the fur, but that'll come in all in due time. You can see right here the water's doing all the work for me. God, I love watercolors so much. Which, if you don't know my artwork in the past, it's weird for me to say something like that because for a long time I was doing strictly black and white ink work. That's why I gave myself the kind of tag name Ink Marks, because everything that I did was black and white brush pen. So this is why I left these white areas white, because the areas that are going to be super green, I want to let just the paper interact with the green paint, and as they blend back with the gray that I did for the rest of the blending, that's the effect that I wanted. I wanted it to have bright green frontal areas, and then a smooth blend backwards. This green, I can tell already, there was a little bit too much. I'm going to dab it off. And then I'm just going to repeat it, but try to put less paint on this time around. Also, be careful if you do this, because if you do it too many times, you will ruin your paper, and it'll just start like chunking off because you put too much water and too much friction on it, basically. But yeah, this is totally getting like the low lit effect that I was going for. Except this is that part's too green. I want you guys to know how much I am like legit multitasking right now. I am seeing text messages. I'm getting um, messages on Facebook, and I'm getting messages on YouTube and Facebook Messenger. but this experience is worth it. That's too dark green. Let's take some off of that. And then we'll just share it with its brother fingernails. The paper that I use for this one is Artist Loft Michaels brand watercolor paper. Level 2. However, I will be doing a video, a vlog coming up, an unboxing of sorts, where I'm going to be trying out 100% cotton watercolor paper, which I'm told from another YouTuber is amazing. And I'm hoping that's really going to turn things around for me. New paper means success. And then I won't have to try as hard, right? That's the way that life works. Maybe. Who knows? Art Jen says you should be answering all my text messages for me, which means you need to answer Bowen's text message for me.
I should answer your text message? What? You have your phone.
I know. Whatever. Derek's trying to talk about color right now, and tell him there's no yellow in this. How about that? There's going to be yellow in the cheese, but there's no yellow in this green paint, man.
Isn't there technically yellow in all green paint?
I don't want to hear that, Geneva. How close are we? People are starting to question me. Mutiny. Didn't go as planned. I'm going to start doing the highlights on the rest of the areas too while I'm at it. Green, 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 green. Dibbit it, dibbit it, dibbit it, dibbit it. That's a reference to Coco. Oh, that might be too much. Because, yeah, we're doing gray and we're doing green, but I still want him to have, like, pink ears. Maybe dirty pink. This guy looks dirty in general. Let's play into him as a character. Art Jen says the cat should be helping me too. Why can't my cats help me with things? Instead, all they do is stop me from making vlogs. Like, I mean, I have one next to me licking its butt right now. That's inspirational, question mark? I don't know. Okay. I think I need to fill in some of these other spots over here. That should be darker green and blend them back into the gray. I need a little more black for the brows. I do want these to be cool and like heavy brows. This guy's just like, I got the caveman look going on. The big, thick, heavy brows. And then I should put, actually, you know, I should put more black. Ooh, should I put more black here? I like the kind of like stark black line that I have going. That's all right, we'll do it. We'll do it. The black line still shows, the brush pen still shows. But I do need more of this area blending in to the greens. So that's too dark. Let's get some paint off our brush pen. and lower it down to the green. Now this part is getting too dark, and I like specifically left this white to have green showing through. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna add green to that area. First, I'm gonna dab it just a little bit, take a little bit of that gray off. There we go, and then give it a refresher of the green. You can see right here, I'm overworking it now, and the paper's starting to come up, so I have to stop. Oh, and I apologize once again for all the shakiness of the Facebook live stream. Maybe this is why Derek abandoned it, because it is all over the place as I'm painting. I tried changing my technique a little bit, and I go right back to it. This is how I paint, apparently. Real shaky. I'm gonna do super thin lines of green for the teeth, and then we're gonna make the rest of that like some nasty, dirty yellow. Let's go underneath here for the mouth. All right, now this I think is gonna be fun. I'm gonna do like green highlights on just a few wrinkles in his mouth. That did not work as well as I thought it was going to. I think the downfall of this green is that it is so light, it gets pretty transparent. But that's okay. I think I want to put a little purple under his eyes. I don't know why. It's just a craving, and I'm gonna let that craving happen. I'm gonna put a little purple under there. Make him kind of sickly looking. But still combined with our green. Those highlights. He's very tired. He's tired of being a dirty rat that's gotta scavenge for cheese. I don't think I know what kind of cheese this is because it's got holes like it's Swiss cheese, but it's got like a thick kind of rind to it, like a brie or something like that. I think I just went off the deep end with my source material there. More black over here because this leg should be further back and I want it to be darker. Oh, maybe not that dark. Let's make a nice even blend if we can. And then I neglected to put black. Oh, that's too much. And now we're bleeding into the rest of the green. Sweet. Let's try to dab that up a little bit. Make it a smooth blend transition. And now I'm okay with going real dark underneath here because I don't want that to be a focus. And I'll just carry that black down into the rest of this area. And if you're curious what I'm doing right here is I am cleaning off the brush to get all the ink off of it. And then I'm soaking up whatever ink is excess in this area. Also, wetting it allows me to do the dab and kind of loosen it up. Perfect. That's what I wanted to happen. Don't want that showing through. All right, now I've taken the ink completely off the brush and I'm just transitioning it into water and letting that black kind of come back down over the belly. You know what? For a guy that's scavenging, he looks like he's pretty well fed. I gave him, he's a bit rotund, but like in a weird way because the rest of him has some pretty skinny features. Now that this is gonna ruin my spherical shape that I got going, so I gotta kind of take it off a little bit. That's not bad. Okay, that works. All right, let's go in with a little bit of like a pink tone. Let's start the gums. But that's too bright, so I'm going to take some off. To do that, I'm going to add a little more water to it, make it loose again, and then dab. There we go. And then, oh, what the heck? Let's not do the pink just yet, because I got a lot of work to do with the pink. You're gonna do the ears and the hands and the tail are all gonna be pink. Let's go back in with some yellow and make these little corn nuggets. Maybe even some like just like a little bit of a darker yellow tone too. Like make them grody. That darker yellow tone actually works pretty good with the green highlights too. Hey Bowen, I did not get a chance to communicate back via text with you because Geneva didn't want to figure out a way to use my phone without turning off the live stream. So I'm afraid that you are going to go unanswered until this is all said and done. Let's do our bold move right now, and let's do those red eyes I was talking about. And I mean, I'm just like a little sliver, just like a little. Oh, that's so cool. I love it. That's what I wanted. Yes. Yes, and yes, and yes. And that pops because we use so much green for the rest of them. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. Okay. Um, I mean, there's still work to do with the gray. I should not give up on that yet. You can see in this leg right here too, it's kind of getting that cauliflower texture. That's because I had too much water down there. I'm gonna kind of try to fix that without overworking it. Just a little bit. Make it a slightly smoother transition. Same thing with this calf too, though too much water. I don't like the hard lines. I mean, you can use hard lines within watercolor to make a really, really cool looking effect, but in this picture, I don't want them there. They gotta go. I'm gonna go back with a little more black so I can add some more gray stuff around his muzzle. Is that a thing? Muzzle?
I guess.
Snout.
Snout, yeah.
Snout is a better word for it. What's a muzzle?
Well, it's like on a dog, the dog's mouth area, so it wouldn't be inaccurate. But like,
Oh, that's too much. So see, if I do get to the point where excuse me for sniffing, I put too much black down, I can always kind of like blend it out a little bit too. I mean, you saw that I did that correction over here in the body because I think I put too much black over there. But I find like to get like a really, really deep black with the watercolors anyway, you've got to put layers down. Black is not like a watercolor favorite. Um, so it is workable to kind of get it out of there. I left a little bit of space in between the wrinkles where he's snarling. And if I were like pro right now, I would be letting the black dry first before I go and try to add great highlights. But I'm not. Okay. He could probably use a little more gray back here in the cheek. But you see how like how quick blending that out makes that into a much lighter gray than it originally was in the corner of the cheek. In order to kind of make that pop forward, I might add a little more to it. Make that shape shine.
So you're right, got 10 more minutes.
You guys, there's 10 more minutes. And then we're launching this bad boy. Which also, unfortunately, means unless I can pick up the pace, we might not be finishing this painting tonight. But, you know, we got a good chunk of it in the bag. Anybody out there have pet rats? I don't want any rats. I had hamsters. And I think I met my quota for rodent pets. I just, they smell. The Society for Better Living of Rodents is going to hate me for this video now. I'm blacklisted. None of them are going to back my campaign, and I'm ruined. Why would I say something like that? On the eve of my Kickstarter campaign at that. Ugh. Are you going to remind me at 5 minutes? I mean, maybe do a 2-minute reminder? I don't know. Okay, so the pink that I used for the gums was a little bit too bubblegum pink. I think I'm just going to use like a kind of watered down alizarin crimson for the effect on the ears and the tail. So I'm just going to put like a streak of it right there and then just blend it way the heck out there. What the heck, I'll blend it over the green too. That worked great. I like that. Again, one streak of alizarin crimson and then just blend it way down so that it's pink now. Same thing with the hands. And if you are working with watercolors and you find that one portion of the area that you're covering with a particular ink got too dark, but you have more to cover with a lighter version of it, you can just take it right from that spot and push it over to the areas that need it. like that right there on the foot is way too dark. But I know that this tail is also going to be pink. So I'm just going to push some of it down. And now I've got the pink effect on the tail. And I realized that I did not put the green there like I should have. So I'm going to do that now. Actually, I didn't put any green in between these little feet at all. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, cool. Let me hit up this area, back of the tail. Again, way too dark. So we're going to push that out to the rest of the tail until it gets to the pink level that I like it. Ah, too much pink, too much crimson. Let's borrow from there, put it over here, borrow more, put it up here, and borrow some more. Now we're getting light enough. But I don't know if borrowing is gonna work. There we go. So at this point, what I did was I actually brushed off all the paint altogether, and then I started lightening it up by just adding water, and then I'm gonna just dab it a little bit.
5 minutes.
5 minutes left to go. I think I'm gonna finish this tail, and then we're gonna switch over to Kickstarter mode, everybody. I hope that's okay with you guys. And then tomorrow's gonna be a fun day because I need to apparently play Pokemon to find a shiny party hat Gengar. But also, I need to figure out all the places that I want to push this campaign to, because having a book that is filled with like horror references gives me a lot of niches to play with. The paranormal, the film niche, the children's book niche, and I need to find the best ways to get it out to all of them. Potentially work that I should have done before tonight, but I'm picking up my game in 2020. I'm learning a lot. We're still doing the vlog on a weekly basis, which at this point, if you're still watching the video, thank you so much. The vlog that I'm doing is on YouTube. It's Inkmarks art vlog. You can search Marcus Clausen. You can search Inkmarks. Marks is with a C, like my name, because it's kind of like a, I don't know, word design thing. The fact that Inkmarks is like has a C. I'm looking at my wife trying to get like feedback, and she's just smiling at me like I make no sense. I make sense. You don't make sense. That's way too dark. Okay, are we at 2 minutes yet?
3.
Okay, almost done with the tail. And then this is probably going to be where we end this art video. So yeah, if you're new to my channel, Inkmarks Art Vlog, please subscribe. Please like videos. We're not going to have a chance to color the cheese tonight. That'll have to be for another day. But this is where we ended with our bottom lit green rat for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed going through all of the Kickstarter pages. Let's switch gears. I'll put this away at through. Okay. Here we go. You can see what I'm looking at on Facebook. I'm looking at both Facebook and YouTube. We're at 58. I already have the Kickstarter Edit your page, ready to go. Exit preview mode. Good news, your project has been approved. You have the green light to launch. The Eerie Enigma of Ghostly Gary is a project by Marcus Clausen. Its funding goal is to raise $5,000 by Tuesday, March 31st at 11:59 p.m. What is PDT? Pacific Daylight Time? So yeah, guys, here we are. It's, you know what, it's 11:59, 11 seconds, and I'm too excited. We're gonna launch. August makes a great point. We need a link to the Kickstarter page. I'm gonna click launch now. Drum roll. It actually says drum roll. That's fantastic. And now we're live. We're up. We're running. Here is a Facebook link. I can share to Facebook. Let's do that. Share to Facebook if my computer ever loads. It won't let me share to Facebook. I can do it over here on Facebook. Happy New Year's! Wait, wrong midnight. Yeah, but it's equally exciting, Danny. Okay, well, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight while I wait for the countdown. The project is live. Feel free to peruse the rewards, watch my amazing video. I think I'm going to start a second career as a Kickstarter video producer because, I mean, I had to go to Party City to get some of these high-end supplies for this Kickstarter video. Thank you guys. Yeah, I had a blast tonight. It was fun talking about all the pages and actually producing some art with people watching. Good job. All right. Bye.